Hello and welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Today we have another tier list for Fallout New Vegas. And this one's going to be a little bit different. This one's going to be the food tier list in Fallout New Vegas. And rather by rating these on how good they actually are in the game, I wanted to rate them based on how much I would probably enjoy eating them, assuming that I was also in the Wasteland. So, we have 5 categories, but these aren't the usual S to D tier. We have Them's Good Eating at the top, meaning something that I would probably really enjoy eating. Or at least I assume so. I'm not sure. A lot of this stuff I've never had, and I assume never will. Wasteland staple is probably going to be anything that you would consider edible and likely something you would eat in the Wasteland. Maybe not something you'd want to eat in real life, but I could see you having to eat it in the Wasteland. Then we've got okay for 200 years old, not going to be the best. Then we've got would try it, something I'd be willing to try at least once, maybe, see how it goes, assuming I don't die from anything in here. And then we have the last category, which is just, nope, not gonna eat it. First up, we have the ant egg. And the ant egg, in the Wasteland context, I feel like I would try it. Just to see what it's like. Just to see how it is. I doubt it's gonna be like a regular egg, like a chicken egg. It might be closer to like a reptile egg, which I've never had before either, and I don't think I would really like to try. But given the context of the Wasteland, I would probably at least try this and see what it is. Then we have ant meat, which ant meat I feel like I would also probably try. This is uncooked ant meat, which may or may not be a good thing. I mean, I know a lot of people around the world eat various bugs, insects, any sort of, creepy crawly stuff like this. If they're this big, then maybe you get a decent amount of nutrition from it. The thing I'm worried about, though, is just like breaking my teeth on the actual outside of it, on that exoskeleton. I feel like that might be really tough, and you might just have to cut that away and then just eat whatever the inside is, which I don't see being very good. Next, we have the barrel cactus fruit. This one, I've never had barrel cactus fruit of any kind. I don't think I've had a cactus of any kind that I've tried to eat before. But I don't see why this wouldn't be like a Wasteland staple. This is probably fine. I imagine it doesn't have too much flavor. It's probably maybe fibrous and maybe full of water. I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. You'd probably want to mix it with something or maybe grill these. That might make them a little bit better. I don't know. If you guys have eaten cactus, tell me in the comments below. If you guys have eaten ants and ant eggs, tell me in the comments below too. The yucca fruit, or yucca fruit, however you wish to pronounce it, I don't know. I know these are real too. I feel like this would be a Wasteland staple as well. If they do actually taste kind of like banana, they'd probably be lower because I am not a fan of banana. That's one of the few things where I just can't have it for whatever reason. It just doesn't agree with me. And it's kind of like every aspect of it. I don't really like the texture. I don't really like the smell. The taste isn't really there. I'm not really offended by any of these. It's just it's clearly not for me type food. So if it has any of those things about it, probably wouldn't be for me. Maybe if you mix it in with some other stuff, maybe if you grill it, it wouldn't be so bad or something like that. But I'm going to put it up there just because I haven't had it and it seems like it would be okay. Then we've got Bighorner meat, which this is also raw meat. And these are from the Bighorners, which are kind of like giant goats or giant rams, which I've had lamb before and that's fine. I've never had raw lamb before, so I don't think that I would want to try this very often, but I would go with I'll try it. I'm just more worried, I'm going to get parasites or something from this. The cooked version with the Bighorner steak, though, I would say that this is Them's Good Eating, because this sounds pretty decent. I mean, it's some sort of large meat. I'm assuming it's going to be similar to beef, or similar between a mix of lamb and beef, and that sounds okay to me. I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, so meat is perfectly fine for me, and I don't think you really could be, at least easily, in the Wasteland, of all places. Maybe if you're one of the ultra-rich, you still could be, but I feel like if you're just an average person living somewhere around the Wasteland, living somewhere around the Mojave, you just kind of eat what you got. Then we have the black blood sausage. I've never had blood sausage. I've heard various accounts of it, whether it be good, whether it be bad, whether it be just something in the middle. I would be up for trying this, and I think I would probably enjoy it, at least based on the picture. It kind of reminds me of salami or various other types of mixed meats. I know it is just kind of a mixed meat in this, and it can kind of come from anything, which makes it a little bit ominous, because this can come from people, this can come from animals, so I'm gonna put the black blood sausage, I guess I'll put the black one up in Them's Good Eating, because you do have to intentionally make this one, meaning that I'm sure you know exactly what's in it, and you're adding to it. and you're really trying to prep it up to make it something edible. So I'm going to put it up there. And then we've got the Blamco mac and cheese. This one I feel like it belongs in the okay for 200 years. I like mac and cheese a lot. It's really cool. It's one of my favorite things to make. I love baking it in the oven. That's how it turns out like the best. You just got to get like the breadcrumbs on it. Really, really good then. This is just going to be like the standard box of mac and cheese, and I assume you're just eating like basically raw noodles and powdered cheese mix from 200 years ago. So I don't think it would be enjoyable, but it would be something to give you some calories. So I guess it'd be good in the Wasteland context. Bloatfly meat, I'm just going to say no. I'm not going to try bloatfly meat. Bloatflies are like scavengers. It's a fly. I don't want to eat a fly. Then we have the bloatfly slider. This is where you took some time to actually like make it a bit better. You cooked it. You put some stuff into it. I feel like I would try this one, but I don't feel like I would really enjoy it either. I feel like it would still be disgusting if I knew what it was. The ants, I'm not as disgusted by it compared to the flies for some reason, but I don't know. This whole list is going to be weird. Then we've got blood sausage, even though I don't know why this one looks different from the other one. Blood sausage, I'm going to say is like a Wasteland staple. I think you're going to eat it pretty often, assuming you know what you're getting it from, and hopefully you're not getting it from somebody else, because who knows where it came from then. But I feel like that one's going to be like a Wasteland staple overall. And then we've got Brahmin meat. This one's also raw. I'm going to put it same with the bighorner meat. I'm assuming this is more beef-like than lamb-like or anything like that, so probably pretty decent, but I would want to cook it. Then we've got the steak version. Steak version is going to go right up to them's good eating. Again, you're probably not going to eat this super often. You're probably going to use your Brahmin for other things. But hey, I would try Brahmin, and I'm assuming it tastes like beef. It's a beef steak. That's pretty good. I enjoy that. And then we've got the Brahmin Wellington, which is like the fancy version of this. So a fancy steak is definitely going to go up into them's good eating. Because like, yeah, definitely. I'm going to eat that whenever it's available. It's probably not going to be available very often. I actually don't remember all the things you need to cook with this. But I do know that you need some extra ingredients, and, you're going to make it a bit better. Then we've got Brock flowers, which the Brock flowers, I've tried some edible flowers before, and I've never been super impressed by them. Even in the game, they don't give you that much food. In real life, flowers don't give you that much calories either. Whenever I've tried edible flowers, they've never really tasted like anything to me. They've just been kind of fibrous, and that's it. So I'd probably say Wasteland staple as well. But it's just going to be one of those things like, you probably eat it, but aren't super happy about it. It's just something that you're eating just to get food into your body. The bubble gum, I'm also going to put into like good for 200 years. Yeah, maybe it's some extra sugar and that's all you need from it. Maybe if there's anything left of it. I can't imagine it being very good, and it's probably going to be really hard and just I imagine it's going to be flavorless, or you're going to have like a little bit of flavor for like 5 seconds and then that's it. Then we got the buffalo gourd seed. I think I'd put this also up in Wasteland staple. These are pretty large seeds. I imagine they would be pretty decent. I don't know how you really break into them, or maybe they're kind of soft and you can just pull them apart. If so, definitely I would try it. And I can't imagine a seed really being all that bad. I haven't had any seeds that I can think of that have tasted particularly bad. They all kind of taste the same, where they're kind of crunchy. Well, they're definitely crunchy most of the time. And they usually have some sort of flavor based on whatever they came from, where it's usually all right. Then we've got a caravan lunch. Caravan lunch is also going to go right up to them's good eating. You took the time to prep it. You put it in a box. You made it like special for you. I don't remember exactly what's in the caravan lunch. I think it had like some seeds and stuff in it. It doesn't seem like too bad of things though. You took the time to prep it. You're going to really enjoy this. And then we've got the cave fungus, which I would try cave fungus, assuming that I knew that the fungus was not poisonous. That's kind of the problem with fungus in general in real life, and I imagine in the Wasteland too. If you don't know what something is, you're probably not going to try it, just because you might die. Maybe you could trick some raiders into eating it, see if it kills them, see if it messes with them in any way. If it messes with them or kills them, don't eat it. If it doesn't, and it seems like regular food, it's probably going to be like regular mushrooms, which are perfectly fine. And then they probably move up to like the Wasteland staple. Then we've got Cazador eggs, which I would try a Cazador egg, just because I'm curious to see what that one would be like, too. I don't know why, because I imagine it wouldn't be good either. Then we have the Cook's Fiend Stew, which, I would probably also just try this one. Cook is said to be a really good cook for the Fiends, but that's by the Fiend standards, which I can't imagine being very high. You do get his recipe, you do take the time to cook all this, and I think it's got normal stuff in it, so I would definitely try it, assuming he didn't cook it. But if it is one of the ones that I found that he cooked, I'd be wary of it. At the very least, I'm sure it's probably full of chems, and I can't imagine a good thing for you. Then we have coyote meat, which coyote meat is also raw. I guess maybe try it too. Again, I'd be worried about parasites, so it might also go into the nope. Maybe I should just put that in the nope. I don't feel like eating like coyote. Like, that doesn't sound way great. It sounds like I could get parasites. Sounds like I could get some horrible disease. Coyote steaks, after you cook it, I would try it. I would honestly try it. See what it's like. See if it's any good. If not, then probably never have it again. Up next, we have Cram. I'm assuming this is like Spam, so it's canned ham that's been preserved for forever. This is probably also one of the okay for 200 years. I know there's a lot of places, especially like Hawaii, that uses Spam for making tons of different things. I know some people really, really love Spam. I've always felt it was kind of just okay. I've never really been big on it one way or the other. I've had it a couple of times, and it's always just been like, yeah, okay, it kind of tastes like ham, sort of. I imagine like a 200-year-old one would not be that good. I guess assuming it hasn't been like ruptured or anything, and it's still sealed tight, maybe it's super dehydrated or something, then it might be okay. Up next, we got crispy squirrel bits. I feel like crispy squirrel bits would be like a Wasteland staple, and I'd be willing to try it. I've never had squirrel before, but I have had other small game before, and they've usually been okay. It's never been amazing compared to everything else in the Wasteland. I'm assuming the squirrel is fresh because, well, maybe, I don't know. We never see a squirrel in Fallout, let alone Fallout New Vegas or any of the other Fallouts that I can think of. I don't think we see any squirrels, but the squirrel bits and the squirrel stew are always in it. So I feel like they have to be Wasteland staples, and I feel like if they're still non-mutated squirrels or less mutated squirrels, they would at least be something edible. Then we have the crunchy mutt fruit, which this one I believe is the cooked version, or sometimes it's only in certain areas. This one I feel like it would also be okay for like 200 years. I have no idea what this fruit would taste like. It looks very strange. I mean, the other version of it looks very strange too, so I'm kind of wary of it. It would definitely be one of those, I'd have to wait and see somebody else eat this before I tried it. Maybe these are supposed to be some sort of like engineered fruit that was happening before the war, in which case maybe they'd be okay. Maybe they wouldn't taste like much of anything. Then we've got Dandy Boy apples. I'm assuming Dandy Boy apples are like dehydrated apple slices, which rather than like the okay for 200 years, I think I'd put them in the Wasteland staple because like that actually sounds pretty decent. Like, dehydrated fruit, usually pretty good. I'm assuming you get a decent amount of these. Maybe they were candied apples, though, or maybe they were just, like, whole apples shoved into this box or something. I guess it depends on what type of apple it is. I'm assuming it's, like, dehydrated apples into slices, and you can just, like, pop these open and then eat them, and I think then they'd be okay. That's, like, going over the best assumption. I'd rather have this than some of these other ones that was from, like, 200 years ago. Then we have the datura root, which I know I mispronounced the other time. This is an Honest Arts. This one actually fixes your limbs, which sounds like it would be very useful in, like, a medication sense. And for that, I don't see why it wouldn't go in the Wasteland staple. I don't think you're eating this for, like, sustenance, though. But I feel like this is something you're taking for, like, more of a medication, like some sort of natural herbs to help you out. So I'm going to put it up there. Then we've got the desert salad. Desert salad, I think, is going to go into them's good eatings. Like, you took the time to prepare this. You know, plated it up really nice. I feel like you're definitely going to, like, make it the best that you can. And it would be better than the average stuff. And I think it combines a lot of these different plants that you find around the Wasteland. So, you know, if you take all these staples, you take the time, you blend them all up, you make yourself, like, a large salad like this, probably pretty good. Then we have dog meat, which I'm just going to say, nope, I don't want to eat dog. It's just, that doesn't sound good. Although, in the Wasteland, and strictly in the Wasteland sense, don't take this out of context, I would probably try a dog steak, especially if I didn't know what it was. And if you just told me it was coyote or wolf or something, I'd probably be like, okay, that, you know, gotta eat. It's kind of the same thing with a lot of stuff in Fallout where it's like, if you're a normal person in the Wasteland and you just happen to come across, like, let's say a deceased animal or something, you would probably inspect it, see what it died from. If it died from something, you know, stabbing it, shooting it, whatever it might be, it would probably be fairly safe to eat, and you'd probably take it back and then cook it up. But it's, I don't know. Eating the dogs does not sound good. Eating a lot of this stuff doesn't necessarily sound good to me right away. And then we have the fancy snack cakes. This one would probably also be okay for 200 years. I imagine this is just like some sort of sugary cake, some sort of pastry or something. It would probably be very stale by the time you ate it, so I don't think it would be that great, but you probably wouldn't complain about it. Then we've got fire ant eggs, which, again, I would probably try. I'd be more curious about this than a regular ant egg, just to see maybe it's more spicy, maybe it's like a flaming hot Cheeto, I don't know. It would just be something that would be curious to me. And then we've got the fire ant, and I'm going to butcher this word, fricassee? I could be wrong. I know it's French, but I don't speak French. I barely speak English. This one you took the time to make. I would try it. I would be curious about it, but I wouldn't, like, I'm not going to put it up into, like, them's good eatings, like some of these other ones where it's like, I feel like I could stomach all of this stuff. The bug stuff, I still don't know if I could. The other ant meat is also probably going to go right over here. I would also be curious if it's spicier than the regular ants. It's just, I still have the same, like, fear of maybe I can't eat through the exoskeleton, so I don't. This is getting weird. Then we have all the fresh food, which, I mean, all the fresh food, like we have a fresh apple, that's going to them's good eating, fresh carrots going up there, fresh pears going up there, fresh potatoes going up there, like all fresh stuff that you just made or that you just got out of your garden or stuff that was either picked or dug up recently, I think is gonna be like pretty good. I imagine it'll be very similar to what we have currently. So, I mean, fresh apples pretty good, fresh carrots pretty good, fresh pears pretty good, fresh potatoes really good. You can make tons of stuff with any of these. Alright, then we've got the gecko kebab, which, I mean, you took the time to make gecko kebabs, which I'm assuming you already like them then. I mean, you could say the same thing about the ant stuff, though, too, but I feel like I would be able to probably try this out and maybe enjoy it. I have no idea what reptile tastes like. I've never eaten a reptile. I don't really want to because I actually like reptiles a lot. But, I mean, in a Wasteland sense, I feel like you took the time to make this, and geckos are pretty common. I know it's something that a lot of people in the Wasteland eat, so I'm assuming it's at least pretty decent. So I'm going to put it up in them's good eating. Then we have the gecko meat. Gecko meat is also going to go in like the I'd try it. You probably want to cook it, though. Don't want parasites, so it's, I don't know. I guess I'd put it there. The gecko steaks, I feel like they would be Wasteland staples. A lot of people eat them. This looks very similar to like salmon in the way that it is, or some sort of fish. I don't know if that's how reptile steaks look. I don't really want to know, but that would be something that would probably be pretty normal. And I'm assuming you made it not too long ago, so you could probably like salt this or something, maybe even make it into some jerky or something like that. And it would be pretty decent. I think you could do that in the second Fallout game. I think you'd have like gecko jerky, or maybe it was just called jerky or something. I don't remember. Then we have giant rat meat, also going into... Well, actually, giant rat meat's going into nope. I'm just not eating a rat. I'm not eating a rat that hasn't been cooked. Like, if it's cooked, maybe. But as just, like, rat meat, no. I'm not eating rat meat. I'm gonna get some horrible disease and die from that. Grilled mantis, though, I'd be willing to try it. I still don't know if I could get it through, like, the exoskeleton. And I don't know how much meat would actually be on there to actually, like, eat. But I would try it. If somebody gave that to me, I'm assuming it's going to be similar to, like, a lobster. I'm going to have to crack this thing open and then, like, eat it that way. Which, okay, then. Then we've got gumdrops, which I imagine gumdrops are also going to be okay for 200 years. It's just going to be sugar. So, fine. They're not... I don't think they're going to be great, but they're something. So, no real comment on that one. Then we've got the honey mesquite pod. This one I feel like would also be a Wasteland staple, although I feel like this would be better if you cooked with it. Like, you smoked something with it, you smoke a gecko steak with it or something. I think that would be a lot better. Just eating the pods themselves probably don't taste like much. They're probably just like a lot of flowers and stuff. And then we have human flesh, which is probably going to go into the nope. At least if I know what it is, I'm not eating human flesh. That... if there's one animal that has all the diseases that I could get, it's another human, so I don't want that. This other one is human remains, though, which is slightly different, and it's also going in the nope. I'm not going to eat human remains either. Then we have iguana bites, which I feel like this would be another Wasteland staple. You don't really see iguanas, though, either, but this has been in, like, every Fallout game. So I'm assuming it's common, and I'm assuming people just eat it. Iguanas are pretty big, so I'd imagine you get a decent amount of meat from it. Although, again, I've never eaten a reptile, and I don't really want to. So I'm curious about that one. Same goes with like iguana on a stick. Same type of thing. Wasteland staple. It's in basically every Fallout game. Still probably wouldn't really want to eat it a whole lot, but in a Wasteland context, I imagine you could do a whole lot worse. And then we have the imitation strange meat pie, which is supposed to be like human meat. which I wouldn't want to eat human meat in the first place, so I'm also going to put that in the nope. Maybe if you have resorted to cannibalism a couple of times in the Wasteland, which, I mean, could be a thing, could happen. This wouldn't be the worst thing. I don't know. It still is like a nope for me. Jalapenos, I would say Wasteland staple. Like, jalapenos are great. You can make them so many different ways. Maybe I should put them in the... I'm going to put it in them's good eating. Like, I love jalapenos. Yeah, then we have junk food, which is like the same as the potato crisp, which I imagine would also be fine for 200 years. It's probably packed full of preservatives, so it's still probably okay enough to eat, but it'd probably be super stale. So it still probably wouldn't be something I would really go for. Then we have Lake Lark eggs, which, I mean, I would try it. I would be probably more willing to try this than any of the bug eggs, because this is more of like a crustacean, sort of, kind of, and I think I'd be more up for that. Then we have the Lake Lark meat, which I think would be a Wasteland staple. Probably not as common as it is in like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, where there's all the different types of mirelurks and stuff. This only has the Lake Larks, so maybe this way tastes kind of different. Then we got maize. This would be another Wasteland staple. No problem with corn. Gotta eat corn. Corn's pretty good. You can make it a lot of different ways. You can mix it in with a bunch of stuff. Then we got mole rat meat, which again, mole rat meat, similar to the rat meat. I'm not gonna eat the mole rat meat. Not by itself. It's, I would be more willing to eat mole rat meat than rat meat, but not by that much more. And then the mole rat stew, I think would actually be decent. This is the first, like, stew that we've talked about. So I'd definitely be willing to try it, and I feel like this would be pretty good because he took the time and effort to make it. I'm gonna put this one up into them's good eatings too. And then we also have the mole rat wonder meat, which I imagine that sounds pretty good too. I imagine you cook this up with a steak, you put some herbs and spices on it. Probably gonna be them's good eating as well. The MRE I feel is a Wasteland staple, or maybe I should put the MRE in like... Should I put MRE into okay for 200 years? I feel like Wasteland staple is kind of where it belongs. I'd be more willing to eat the MREs than any of the other stuff down here, as they still probably wouldn't be good. They'd probably still be stale. You'd probably be eating like a bunch of crackers and powdered stuff, because, I mean, that just doesn't get old ever. So there would be that. I imagine a lot of the canned stuff you'd have to throw out just because it's gone bad, but maybe not. Maybe you could get some other things. Maybe they like ultra sealed these or something before the war. Then we have mushroom cloud. I'd be willing to try this. It's like mushrooms plus a couple other things that you put on there. Again, mushrooms are always kind of iffy. You didn't cook them though, so I'm assuming you know that they're not poisonous, in which case then they're probably pretty decent. The mutated cave fungus would probably also go into the I would try it, assuming so I watch somebody else eat it first. Then sure, green mushrooms seems kind of weird to be eating, but maybe it's alright. The mutt fruit, I feel like it would also go into the Wasteland staple, but I don't know if I would really like trust it. I feel like I would have to watch somebody else eat a couple of these, and then I'd be willing to try them, because they don't look like any fruit that I'm aware of, so I don't know what they are. Then we have the Nevada agave fruit. This one I feel is very similar to like the barrel fruit cactus. I've never eaten it before, but I feel like I know some people eat it, some people use it for like topical applications, ointments and stuff. So I feel like it wouldn't be terrible, but I also feel like it wouldn't be amazing either. It would just be like something that you're eating just to kind of get calories. Night Stalker tail, I think I'm just going to put in like the nope. I'm not going to try to eat the Night Stalker tail. Maybe if you cook it, it might be okay. But I mean, it's basically a rattlesnake tail with some meat on it. I don't think you can eat a rattlesnake tail, at least not easily. The meat would probably be okay, but again, you'd want to cook it first, because I wouldn't trust the Night Stalkers to not have some sort of horrible disease. Noodles would go right up into Wasteland staple. Like, you got a bunch of just ramen noodles sitting around, and they've been sitting around for forever. Just add water. They're probably going to be stale. They're not going to be that flavorful, but hey, it's noodles, so no real complaints there. Pinto bean pods, I would say this one's Wasteland staple too. You find these all over the place. Pinto beans are pretty good. Pinto beans aren't super flavorful, but you can mix in a bunch of other stuff with them too, and I imagine they'd be really good in some sort of like Wasteland chili. Like, mix this plus some peppers, some meat, kind of blend it all up. It'd probably be pretty good then. Maybe throw in an MRE for good measure. Then we have the pinion nuts, or pinion nuts. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this. This one I would also say is Wasteland staple. I'm assuming they're like pine nuts, which, I mean, good. That's pretty nice to have. They're a great snack. Pork and beans. Pork and beans would probably also go to like the okay for 200 years. Like, overall, assuming the cans are fully sealed. Then it would probably be okay. Probably not the most flavor. You'd probably want to mix it in with some other stuff. But, you know, it wouldn't be like something you would dread to eat, I imagine. Potato crisps, also probably going to go up into the okay for 200 years. They got to be stale at this point. I also don't know why these are potato crisps instead of just potato chips. This does take place in the U.S. We don't call chips crisps here. I know that's more something that's like UK and Europe that they do. Because it kind of confused the heck out of me the first time I heard crisp packet. I didn't know what the heck that was. Then we have preserved meat. Which preserved meat, I feel like that would be them's good eating because it's preserved, it's before the war, probably pretty decent. You could cook it up and make it into some steaks. You probably wouldn't want to eat it raw, but that would be the only like downside is you need to find a place to cook it. But that wouldn't be such a downside. There's plenty of stuff in the Wasteland that's on fire. Then we have the pre-war steaks. This one is kept in the Sierra Madre, which has been like, at least in the casino, has been like completely cleansed and everything. So I'm also under the same impression of like the preserved steaks. Maybe these ones are a bit more freezer burnt. That would kind of suck. But I'm also going to put these up into them's good eating too. Like, it's free food at that point. You might as well munch it. We got the prickly pear fruit. I think that's also going to go up into Wasteland staple. Never had a prickly pear fruit before, but they look kind of cool. And I'd be down for trying it. And if I didn't like it, it probably wouldn't be like the worst thing in the world. It'd probably just be like, not for me. Rad roach meat. That's probably going to go into the nope. I don't want to eat giant cockroaches. That's just kind of gross to me compared to some of the other bugs again. The other one was the giant rat meat. This is regular rat meat. Also going into the nope for the exact same reasons. Not going to eat rat meat. Don't want to get some horrible disease. Then we have Ruby's casserole. This one I feel like I would try. I know that it has Radscorpion venom in it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because if you cook that through, it shouldn't be dangerous to you anymore. Assuming you don't have like a stomach ulcer or something, which that would be the worst way to find out you have a stomach ulcer. So the venom should just go right through your body, assuming that there is any venom left after it. I don't know. This one would be a weird one. Then we have the sacred root. This one I think just poisons you. So this is also going to go into the nope. Don't eat the flowers. They're poisonous. I think the roots aren't poisonous. Then we have Soylent Green. This is basically like human flesh as well, but it's green, so definitely gonna try it, because at least then you could claim you're an ethical vegan. I mean, you're not a vegan by eating this if you knew what it was. Assuming it actually isn't. What this actually is in-game, and in the in-game universe, is just sort of like plant material that's been mixed up. It would probably actually be like in the Wasteland staple, because I imagine if it's just plant material mixed up, it's not gonna be amazing or anything, but it's just going to be like extra calories that you can get, and it'll be okay. It'll probably give you a bunch of fiber too, which is great. Salisbury steak is probably also going to be okay for 200 years. At least with Salisbury steak, it's similar to like Cram and similar to Spam. You know what you're getting, and Salisbury steak is always like the safest option, at least here in the US, to get like TV dinners from. If you see Salisbury steak, you know that it's going to be okay at the very worst. If you are coming to the US and you're like, I want to try some TV dinners or something from there, Salisbury steak, like, super safe option to actually get. It's not going to be the best thing in the world. It's not going to be the worst thing in the world. It's going to be very, like, middle of the ground. But sometimes that's all you want from something like this. So I'm going to put it there. Then we got Spore Carrier Sap. I feel like I'd be willing to try this. I haven't really tried sap, but I can't imagine it being terrible either. Imagine it just being kind of sugary, kind of sticky, and kind of average. The spore plant pods, I feel like I'd be willing to try these too. Again, maybe get something or someone else to try to eat these first, see what they're like. But I feel like I'd be willing to try it. Squirrel on a stick has to be like a Wasteland staple. It's similar to like the crispy squirrel bites. You just got more of a squirrel here. It would probably be okay. It probably wouldn't be amazing, but it'd be alright. Then we've got Squirrel Stew, which I feel like you put a little bit more effort into this, but it's still probably going to go into like Wasteland staple. And then we have Strange Meat, which Strange Meat is also going into the nope. That's just more human flesh. That's all it is, but in a kebab form. So you took a little bit more time and effort. I guess if you wanted to be a fancy cannibal, it might be something for you to try. I'm not a cannibal, nor do I want to get some horrible disease. A strange meat pie is also human, but now it's like in a shepherd's pie. So I'm going to put that into the nope too. That does not sound good to me at all. Then we've got Sugar Bombs. Sugar Bombs is also probably going to be okay for 200 years. It's some sort of cereal, I imagine, with a ton of sugar in it. So I'm already not way enthusiastic about it. I don't really like cereals with a ton of sugar in them. I feel like it would be very, very stale. If you've ever had old cereal, it's not good. It doesn't matter what kind it is, it's just not good. We got the thick red paste, which I feel like this one I'm not going to put up into them's good eating. I feel like I put it into Wasteland staple. Even though you took the time to make it, it doesn't sound good to me. Maybe if you blend it up enough and make it into like something else, make it into hot dogs, make it into some sort of stew, some sort of something. I just can't imagine just eating like food paste as it is. Be like the rest of the US and make it into some sort of like animal shape and put some breading on it and fry it, and I would probably say it's like amazing. But just by itself, I don't really want to like eat it. Same thing goes with like the thin red paste. It wouldn't be like the same as the blood sausage where you're taking the time, you're like, you kind of know what's in it, even though it is just kind of a mix of stuff. I feel like that would just be a bit better than like these ones. Trail mix is probably gonna go right up to them's good eating. Like you took the time, you put in a bunch of stuff here. It's trail mix. Trail mix is awesome. You can mix it with whatever the heck you want. Throw in some nuts. You can throw in some dried fruit. You can throw in like some chocolate or whatever you got. Some various sweets and stuff. So you could literally mix like just about anything here in with it, and it would be like trail mix. So yeah, gotta go to them's good eating. Wasteland omelet, I'm also going to go up into them's good eating, even though this one looks particularly weird with the little hands coming out of it. I don't like the little hands coming out of the omelet, but, I mean, I do like omelets. I'm very curious to see what a Deathclaw would taste like, as weird as that sounds. They are like apex predators. It would just be one of those, like, I'm too curious to not try it, and I feel like you took so much time and effort to make this that it would be, like, something I would try and like, or like change the recipe enough to where I would like it. Then we have the white horse nettle. This one I feel like I would try. I don't know if it would be more similar to like these other seeds, or if it just doesn't taste like anything. Sure, Wasteland staple, eat it all the time, no problem, pick it up. But like where I just don't know exactly what the heck it is, I would be like I would try it and then kind of go from there and decide. Then we have the xander root. Xander root would probably also be like Wasteland staple. It's similar to like a lot of other roots, I imagine, where I would try it out and it would probably be okay, and I wouldn't really mind eating it pretty often. It wouldn't be something I'd be looking forward to, but it would be something. Then we have Yao Guai meat, which Yao Guai meat I would try. There's not really like a cooked version of this. I would hope that it would be cooked, because I'd be willing to try like bear meat, but the bears also look very mangy and could have all sorts of parasites and who knows what else. So I would be hesitant towards this, but I would be more curious about this than most of the other meats like dog meat or coyote meat or something. This one would definitely get my attention. And then our last food is the Yum Yum deviled eggs, which I'd also put it okay in 200 years. Like, I'm not really a fan of deviled eggs. I think they're okay. I haven't had like packaged deviled eggs. Whenever I've had them, they've been like freshly made, and still they weren't like my favorite. So this one I don't think I'd be like super happy for. I can also just imagine like how many preservatives do you have to put in deviled eggs to make it so they don't rot after 200 years? It has to be like so much stuff. I don't know. I'd be hesitant to eat this one. Probably more so than most of these other ones for 200 years. I feel like the fancy cakes would be like one that would be okay. The bubble gum would be one that would be okay. Like these wouldn't be amazing, but they would be like something that would be consistent. The potato crisps and like the junk food, same thing. Like they would probably be okay. Same thing with the cereal. I would know what I was in for. Like, I would feel like this and, like, the pork and beans and, like, Salisbury steak could have, like, the most variation in them to where I don't know what the heck they taste like. So this is where I'd put all the food in Fallout New Vegas as to how willing I would be to try to eat them. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I didn't really know what to do exactly with the food, but this was really fun. Tell me your list down in the comments below. Which would be the foods that you would be most willing to try, and which would be the foods you would be least willing to try in the Wasteland? And do you think any of the 200-year-old food would be actually still edible and decent after 200 years? I kind of feel like it wouldn't. Maybe the Dandy Boy apples, because I put them up higher, assuming they're dried fruit. They might be decent. But thank you guys so very much for watching this. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye, everybody!